Hello and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. My name is Sensei and you're watching the Morning Forecast Show live every trading day, 2 hours before the opening bell, unless of course I'm unwell, which I was for the last couple of days. So I do apologize, but we are back. And also coming up will be the birth of my first child. So that will probably have a few hiccups during that time as well. So do bear with me. We will be live as much as we can be. I will aim to be live every single trading day, 2 hours before the opening bell. Thank you everyone for tuning in to today's show. We've got a lot lined up. We've got Nvidia earnings from yesterday and then a big story from manipulation on Wall Street. Let's see who's in the show right now, and then we'll get into our top stories. If you are here, please say you are here watching. Let me see who is sticking with us. We've got Matty here first. Lovely to have Matty in the show. Martin says, hi all, welcome back, Sensei. Thank you, Martin. It's so good to be back. I did very much miss being live. Bitcoins, Craig says, good day, Sensei and all. 50-50 on bull market, bear market at the moment. Just shows it's anyone's game right now. Yes, we will come on to whether I think it's bull market or bear market, but I do tend to agree. It's hard to call right now. It was much easier to say 6 months ago that we're well, for most people it's much harder because the price was much higher. But 6 months ago, I did turn bearish. Now it's a bit harder to say, okay, are we going to continue into bear market or bull market? I do think this bear market is not ended, in my opinion, but there is certainly it's certainly harder to be convinced either way right now. Let me check that. That has been sorted. Yes. Hi everyone, says Rhino Skin. Rhino Skin's here. Bitcoins Craig says hi. Martin Rendon says good morning, ladies and gents. Happy fabulous Friday. Yes. Oh my god, it's Friday. It's not Friday. What's going on? I was like, what's going? I don't think it's Friday. It's Thursday. What's going on? You're confusing me. Potato Family says, hi, Martin. You taking a shower during this show? Oh, God, I don't even want to know. Raiden, correction, Thursday. Yes, Raiden, you're a bit ahead of everyone. Ricardo says, good morning, Banana Heads. Glad to see Sensei back. Thank you, Ricardo. Trump and Iran talks today. Yes, that is one of the top stories of the day. Trump and Iran talks. Panny says, just remind me where is the big bounce because I don't see why the hell make such a stupid name. We had was the market's not up 10, 11, 12% yesterday on the crypto markets? I would say that's a pretty big bounce. So I don't know what panic. Oh, it says it in your name. You always panic. Eva says, Eva says, sorry, let me go down here. Sorry, it sometimes jumps the chat. Good morning from Fort Lauderdale. Human being Liz is here. Oh, Eva says jobless claims in the next 42 minutes. Yes, that is correct. That will be at in 42 minutes. Chris Investment says good afternoon. All Guy says good morning from Fort Lauderdale. Yolanda's here. Glad you're feeling better. Yes, I'm all good. Thank you. Casey says good morning. Brian says good morning, family. Hello, world. Tidy Big Dog says hi, everyone. Bruce says congratulations to you and your expanding family. Thank you, Bruce. Yes, not long now. 2 months, hopefully. Well, no, less than 2. I don't even know. I think it's less than 2 months now. The baby come? Did I get it right? No, human being Liz. The baby has not come. The baby is expected in the middle of April. Hello, Sensei. You've been missed. Thank you, C. Marty. I did miss it. Are you going through the jobless claims? The jobless claims, again, they're not the highest impact story. So if it was CPI, PPI, or unemployment data, we certainly would. I wouldn't say today's jobless claims are the most important bits of data. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the jobless claims. I will cover it briefly. Jason says good morning. Jack says morning. Mr. Craig says good morning. Good day. Let's hope for big gains in XRP. C. Marty says congratulations of your new addition. Well done to you. No, C. Marty. Why does everyone think? No, it hasn't. He isn't born yet. No, I was just unwell. I was making upgrades to the newsletter. We had an appointment yesterday. No little sensei yet. Human being Liz says Casey hello. Good morning says Ganja. Jacko says cheers from Oh, we've got a great audience today. Everyone's engaging in the chat. Lovely to have everyone here. Where were we? Cheers from Playa de Carmen. Playa de Carmen. Playa de Carmen. That's in Italy. No, Playa de Carmen. I think I've been there. Playa del Carmen. Oh no, it's in Mexico. Why? Oh, maybe I have been to Playa de Carmen. That's why I remember it. Why did I think it was Italy? I've been to Mexico. Yes, it's near Cancun, Playa de Carmen. Yes, I've been to Playa de Carmen. There was a hotel there. Um, what was the name of the hotel? Really nice hotel. That's why I remember Playa de Carmen. I've been to Playa de Carmen. Oh God, I wouldn't remember. I'll think of it. Where are you staying, Jacob? I've heard there's a lot of unrest in Mexico right now. Wish it was Friday, says Dalish. Human being Liz says Brian. Hello, morning. Mornings aren't the same without you, Sensei. Missed you. Lynette, not even a member, and that's such a kind comment. Thank you so much. I forget there's a lot of non-members as well that are great fans of the show. Thank you, Lynette. Oh, too many margaritas. Hello, Casey and Liz. Oh, where was it in Mexico? It was a I'm trying to remember. It's coming back to me, all the memories. It was like a hotel, but it had like a really large hotel. Um, yeah, I can't remember. The bear market is going to be another 2 months. Nice bounce, says Jaco. Yes, it's been a good bounce. Congratulations, happy family. Human being Liz, I have no idea where you got this from, and I don't know what you're talking about. I'm here, Sensei, loving your content. Thank you, Rocky Road. Appreciate it. Do you accept friend requests? Not mine, lol, but hi to you. Do I accept friend requests? I normally I engage with the premium members on Substack. So on Discord, please be careful. I'm not going to be messaging you on Discord unless we've had a prior connection, which is very, very few people at this point. So yeah, just anyone messaging on Discord pretending to be me, they're going to be pretending to be me. I'm not messaging anyone on Discord. Robert Elliott says good morning. Josh Monroe says good morning all. Hi Liz and Yolanda says KC. Su, super Super River lady says Mexico, been there 3 times. Yes. Yeah, so have I. Everyone's been to Playa de Carmen. It's not just me and Jacko. Roll Tide from Alabama. I've been to Playa 2 times. First time won the trip from Germany. Good times. Yeah, I guess it's a very popular destination then. Silveria lady says Cran Polo Royal 2 times, let's say. Cran Polo. No, it's going to really annoy me now. Playa de Carmen. Um, I need to figure out what it is. It wasn't just a normal hotel, it was quite large and it had like links to different hotels as well. This is gonna really bug me. Let's see. I can't see it. Cran Porter. I don't think it was called that. Jacob says, lovely here, nice weather, staying at Beach House. Yes, but what's the situation in Mexico though? I've seen there's a lot of unrest. Seamarty says, apologies, Sensei. I thought a little one had arrived. Hope all is well with the pregnancy. Always lots of appointments. Yes, yeah. There's the NHS throws you all over the place. But anyway, yeah, all good. Thank you. Jacko says, player is between Tulum and Cancun. Yes, I remember. Good morning, everyone. Biker Dude to Mars. Where is this Jane Street manipulation? I've heard of it briefly, but don't understand what it is. Well, we'll get into it in a second. C is very popular. Good morning, everyone. How's the portfolio challenge going? Portfolio challenge is going great. I think today's a down day, but let me show you what's going on. Let's log in. I am going to bring it up on the screen more often once we get a bit more invested, but currently you can see on the, let's go on the year to date. Year to date, we're up 2.8%. On the year to date, up 2.8% so far. David says, good morning. Behind the fences because of security for outsiders. Okay. Let's get into the main story today. Thank you everyone for showing up and engaging in the chat. Let's get into the big stories of today and then go into the main story, which is all about Jane Street. I know a lot of people have heard of it, but you might not know exactly what it's all about. So let's break that down. Situation in Mexico is turbulent but normalizing. Okay, well, as long as you're safe, that's what matters. Let's go to our very own newsletter. There has been some upgrades in the newsletter. I am I've cut down on certain processing times for parts of the newsletter, which means I can actually spend more time writing in the newsletter. So let me know if you see any difference. I'm sure most people won't, maybe not notice it, but you will just subconsciously notice it. Anyway, top stories today will be Nvidia beats, but markets flinch. So we saw Nvidia's big beat. We did the full analysis. I was live with Martyn yesterday. We gave you the breaking news even before CNBC and Bloomberg, which was great. And then, yeah, so it was a great beat, but the market wants bigger beats. And again, it was all about the forecast, and the forecast was great. So it was actually a pretty good earnings from Nvidia. Maybe the market is trying to demand a bit more, and the gaming sector was a little bit. The gaming part of the revenue wasn't brilliant. The only question is, Sensei beating my portfolio, says Martyn. No, we're not beating your portfolio. Well, maybe on percentages. I don't know. We'll see. We have to give it a bit more time. Give me a few years, Martyn. Give me a few years. Again, it's not all about as me and Martyn always preach. It's not all about how quickly can I make money overnight. It's about time in the market. It's about going out, working, putting money in a portfolio and letting it and making wise decisions to help your money grow. So it'll take some time. It'll take some time. We're starting with 5,000, and let's see if we can catch up to Martyn. Um, by the time I get to 300,000, Martyn might be on 10 million or something. I don't know. Nvidia beats, but markets flinch. So we've got that. We've got Pentagon demands AI safety removal. S&P 500 stalls near 7,000. C3 AI craters after revenue miss, and we've got US Iran nuclear talks open in Geneva. We'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the day. IonQ hits quantum revenue milestone, and Jane Street faces manipulation allegations. We're going to come on to Jane Street. We're actually going to make a video during this live stream about Jane Street because that's the main story of today. So I recommend everyone goes and sees the full newsletter. You can see the winners and losers. IonQ up today, Sony up today, Nutanix up today after their earnings. IonQ up 20%. By the way, we've got C3 AI down 24%, Energy Recovery down 18%, etc., etc. And again, you get all the explanations every day. Market snapshot, we can see things are pretty flat today in the markets. The S&P 500 down slightly, oil down a bit more, silver down 2% as well. Again, that's the Nvidia story in the newsletter. We're going to go through to our deep dive. Pentagon threatens Anthropic. That's a very interesting story that I recommend everyone understands and reads about. The S&P 500 and that $7,000 level, or the 7,000 level. C3 AI cratering 23%. Again, that's a big AI story. Remember how high that was. Remember what we said about that. Very bearish on that. US Iran nuclear talks open in Geneva. That's the big story of today. That's what everyone's going to be keeping an eye on. High stakes nuclear negotiations. IonQ surges 14%, becoming the first public quantum firm to hit 100 million revenue. Let's continue down. Let me just, why is that? Yeah, big move there from IonQ. I'm going to get the Bitcoin chart up because we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the manipulations. Let me get that over here. And the bear market, bull market case. That was the Nvidia cheat sheet from yesterday. I hope everyone went and saw the Nvidia cheat sheet. It was very clearly broken down, spent a lot of time on it. I'm spending a lot of time on these cheat sheets now to give you the most information, creating tables for you guys, the balance sheet snapshot, the analyst ratings. We had the scenario breakdown, if it's a strong beat in line, what we expect for the stock, key things to watch, the Blackwell revenue, all of this information was in there, why these earnings matter. guidance, what Wall Street expects. All of this information is in these cheat sheets, and you can find all the cheat sheets at the top of the newsletter as well. Now you can see there's a section called cheat sheets, and that's where all the cheat sheets will live. There's the week ahead, which gives you the calendar every week. You got the portfolio challenge, the morning forecast newsletters, the XRP weekly. There will be shortly an app coming, I would say in the next few days. And then the trading course will be up there as well in hopefully a week now. It has been delayed, but we're hoping to get it launched within a week. Okay, let's go on to our big story today. If you have just tuned in, can everyone make sure you hit this hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so before. Great to be back. Thank you everyone for tuning in and bearing with me through these periods. Good morning, Sensei. Go Nvidia, says Dave. Yeah, how is Nvidia doing on the day? Let me just look at it over here because I don't want to mess that up. NVDA. Nvidia is up pre-market 197. Brilliant. What I'm going to do is zoom this in. Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about Jane Street and the Bitcoin manipulation. We're going to make it into a video, so people that don't catch the live stream will be able to watch it later. But if you're watching live, you're getting it right now. Oh, I'm going to make it a video over here as well. Recording. Breaking news on Martyn Lucas investor. We're looking at the firm that might be controlling Bitcoin's price. Yes, it's called Jane Street. You must have heard about it on crypto Twitter or crypto X. But let me tell you all the information about it because there is a main story behind this. It's facing lawsuits on 3 continents. The allegations are pretty staggering. And I want to tell you what every investor needs to understand. And we're going to be looking at now that there's potentially an end to Jane Street, does this mean we can be heading into a bull market now? So I'm going to give you my full analysis on bull market, bear market. Remember, we were one of the first people to call a bear market over 6 months ago. We basically caught the top of the double top on Bitcoin's price, and then a couple months later, we actually said when we are heading into a bear market. And that's what's played out. A lot of people don't like hearing that we're in a bear market when we're at high prices. A lot of people might not want to hear that we're in a bull market when prices are this low. So let's see. I'll give you my full analysis. I'll show you the chart as well. But let's start with Jane Street and the firm that might be controlling Bitcoin's price. So Jane Street Capital is not actually a household name. You might have not heard about it before this week, or you might never have heard about it. It's pretty massive. It doesn't run TV ads. It doesn't have a flashy app. And but in 2024, this single trading firm generated 20.5 billion in net trading revenue. That's more than Goldman Sachs, more than Morgan Stanley, more than almost anyone on Wall Street. And right now, it is being accused of rigging markets across 3 continents simultaneously. One firm, more revenue than all of them. This is staggering numbers. We've all heard of Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Citadel. But look at Jane Street with their revenue, 20.5 billion. Absolutely incredible. On February the 23rd, 2026, Terraform Labs, bankruptcy administrator, filed a 83-page federal lawsuit alleging Jane Street used insider information to help trigger the $40 billion collapse of the Terra Luna ecosystem. Who remembers that? That was the capitulation event of the last bear market. Back in 2022, 2021, this was a collapse no one foreseed. This was Terra Luna. Luna came down 99%. It went from going up hundreds of percent, one of the biggest cryptocurrencies, to going to zero within days. And now we're getting information of why that could have occurred. So this came just weeks after a separate $4 billion lawsuit from Jump Trading over the same collapse. Meanwhile, in India, regulators have already frozen 566 million of Jane Street's profits for alleged index manipulation. And hovering over it all is a growing question that should concern every person who has ever bought Bitcoin. Does this one firm have the power to move the price whenever it wants? Let's break it all down. Here we go. This is going to be interesting. Remember last time we covered the Epstein file stories, bit bearish for Bitcoin. We got a bit of backlash. It's very dangerous covering these stories, so please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe. Please leave a comment in the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. If you want to support our newsletter and get stories like this, plus the 5 stories every single day, the charts of the day every single day, the cheat sheets for any major events, my portfolio, what I'm doing with my money, one-on-one DM access with me, access to the private community when I'm buying crypto, what my thoughts are, then there is a free trial for our very own newsletter. You get all these perks and benefits. The list goes on and on and on. You get all of that. There is a free plan as well. Go and check it out. First link in the description. There's no reason no one should at least get the free plan, but do check out the premium plan as well. You get a 1-week free trial. I might even put a 25% discount code in the description as well. Let's get into it and let's hope we don't get removed from YouTube. So here we go. The 10-minute trade that allegedly helped kill a $40 billion ecosystem. The Terraform lawsuit centers on a former intern named Bryce Pratt. According to the complaint, Pratt interned at Terraform Labs before joining Jane Street full-time in September 2021. 5 months later, he allegedly created a private group chat called Bryce's Secret, where a former Terraform engineer and the company's head of business development. Prosecutors describe this chat as a direct pipeline for non-public tips that Jane Street used to time its trades. Here's where it gets specific. On May the 7th, 2022 at 5:44 p.m. Eastern, Terraform Labs quietly pulled 150 million Terra USD out of major liquidity pool called Curve 3 pool. There was no public announcement, no warning, and within 10 minutes, a wallet allegedly linked to Jane Street pulled out another 85 million, what the lawsuit calls the firm's largest ever single Terra USD swap. Together, that $235 million yanked from the same pool in minutes. And again, remember, what Luna was about, and UST. It was all about a stablecoin pegged to a dollar. And as soon as that depegging occurred, Luna started collapsing and manipulation occurred, and we went to zero. So let's just think of this as a liquidity pool. So think of a liquidity pool like a communal pot of money that keeps the market stable. Everyone chips in, there's a liquidity pool, the market's stable. But when you're draining it that fast, it's like pulling a plug on a bathtub. The water doesn't just lower, it spirals. Terra USD lost its dollar peg. Luna went from over $80 to essentially zero within days. Roughly $40 billion in value vanished. And the damage didn't stop there. The collapse set off a chain reaction that eventually took down 3 Arrow Capital's Celsius, Voyager, and ultimately FTX. Think about that. Potentially what this firm did, and with others that partnered with potential manipulation. Again, this is not confirmed. This is speculation. Don't sue me. I'm just saying what's public information. Terra Luna collapsed. 3 Arrows Capital collapsed. Celsius Network collapsed. Voyager Digital collapsed. FTX collapsed. That's over $60-70 billion of value gone to zero. And here's Jane Street's response. Jane Street's response has been blunt. A spokesperson told Wall Street Journal that the suit is a transparent attempt to extract money, and that Terra Luna holders lost their money because of Terraform's own fraud, not because of Jane Street's money. And to be fair, Terraform founder Do Kwon pleaded guilty to fraud and was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. There was no doubt there was issues at Terraform Labs themselves. The Jane Street complaint also alleges some of this non-public information flowed through jump trading. which faces its own reckoning. A separate $4 billion lawsuit filed in December of 2025 reveals that Jump allegedly secured the option to buy Luna tokens at 40 cents when the market price was $110, a 99% discount. Jump reportedly received over 61 million tokens at that price, later selling them for alleged 1.28 billion in profit. The SEC has already charged Jump subsidiary for misleading investors about Terra USD stability, resulting in a $123 million settlement. Guys, this is crazy. These numbers are crazy. What's going on behind the scenes is crazy. This happened 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and now we're only starting to see what was going on and what that manipulation, that potential manipulation was that caused these crashes and caused that bear market. But the core question is the Jane Street suit isn't whether Terraform was a fraud, it's whether Jane Street knew what was coming and traded on that knowledge before anyone else could react. Now let's move on to this 10 a.m. pattern that disappeared when lawyers showed up. This is what crypto Twitter has been losing its mind over. For months, traders noticed something weird. Bitcoin would rally overnight during Asian and European hours, then it would sell off hard right around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 30 minutes after the US stock market opened. But this wasn't a one-off. It happened with striking consistently starting around November of 2024. On December the 15th, 2025, for example, Bitcoin dropped roughly from 90,000 to 86,600 in under an hour, triggering 203 million in liquidations with zero negative news to explain it. Traders started calling it a 10-point strike. So you can see, I've created a chart here for you guys. You can see different dates and what happens at that 10 a.m. Or sort of 9:30, 10 a.m. Time. Jan Happel and Jan Alleman, co-founders of on-chain analytics from Glassnode, documented this pattern publicly and noted it had hallmarks of algorithmic trading, consistent timing, similar technique signatures, and volume spikes during periods that normally quiet. I would actually recommend people check out Glassnode. They have tons of analytics, but it is quite expensive. Anyway, they are also sort of confirming that pattern. Then something remarkable happened. After Jane Street's lawsuit became public on February the 23rd, only 3 or 4 days ago, the pattern vanished. Bitcoin rallied nearly 10% in 48 hours. 323 million in short positions got liquidated. ETF inflow surged. Bloomberg analyst Eric Balancianos commented that the mood on crypto Twitter was basically the bogeyman is gone. So that's very interesting. Ever since this has been put to an end, ever since the lawsuit has become public, we now are starting to see this sudden surge on Bitcoin's price. Again, yes, we're still at 68,000, but what I'm talking about is that 1 day surge of close to 10%. Potentially a bottom forming for this move, potentially a move back to 74,000, 90,000. I'm going to come onto the chart in a second, but potentially, again, we don't know. It's hard to call these bottoms. We might be seeing a double bottom forming on Bitcoin and an end to manipulation or potential manipulation. Then something remarkable. Yes. So again, you can see before on the left, you can see before February the 23rd, and now you can see there is no 10 a.m. drop anymore. So is this proof? No. Experienced analysts like Giulio Moreno at CryptoQuant pointed to declining overall Bitcoin demand since October 2025 as the real price driver. And I agree. I don't think we need to focus too much on this 10 a.m. dump or the manipulation leaving. There's always going to be manipulation, whether this was manipulation or not, whether this was legal or not. I've got my own opinions, and it's only my opinion. I think this wasn't. I don't think this was. I do think this was manipulation, and I do personally think, again, this is my thoughts. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I do personally think that there was a lot of fraud going on. There is documented fraud as well. There's people being sued by the SEC. But I think the real story is what we read above, which was all about that crazy manipulation of 2022 and what was actually going on behind the scenes. Now, we're going to come on to a bit more information, so stay with me. I think this video will be another 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and I'm going to give you the full chart as well. If you have enjoyed it so far, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe. Check out the newsletter. First link in the description for all all these stories, all the daily deep dives, all the daily news stories, portfolio challenge, and much, much more. So is this proof? No. Benjamin Cowan, CEO of Into the Cryptoverse, said flatly that this isn't a manipulation conspiracy. Every market cycle produces its own narratives. The rally also coincides with oversold technicals, a Trump State of Union address, and broader market strength. So it's very hard to say, okay, this is now over, and this is why we've got that rally. I personally don't think that that's the strongest argument we're looking at. But I did want to cover it because that's what everyone's talking about on crypto Twitter. But here's what makes the circumstantial evidence hard to ignore. The timing is almost too clean. The pattern appeared. It persisted for months. A lawsuit was filed naming the firm's most structurally positioned to execute it, and the pattern stopped. So again, there is a little bit of credit to it, and I understand why people are discussing it. Let's move on to $790 million illusion. Why Jane Street's Bitcoin holdings aren't what you think. This is where things get really important for retail investors, because this part is about how Wall Street can look like it's doing one thing while it's actually doing the opposite. Jane Street, most recent SEC filing, showed it held over 20 million shares of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, IBIT, worth approximately nearly $1 billion. Crypto influencers ran with this massive bullish signal. This is smart money buying Bitcoin. Except that's not what was happening, not even close. Here is the thing about the 13F filings. The SEC form that discloses institutional holdings. They only show long positions in the US stocks and ETFs. They do not show short positions. They do not show futures. They do not show swaps. Options appear only as vague notional values with no detail on whether their bets is for or against the underlying assets. So think about that. And then I'll come on to what they were actually doing. To the world, it looked like this smart money institutional firm was buying Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin, because that's what the filing said. The filing said they held $790 million of IBIT. But the way these things work is on the there's a filing called a 13F filing. That's the SEC form that discloses institutional holdings. But that only shows long positions in US stocks and ETFs. That is not, you don't see anything about short positions. You don't see anything about futures. You don't see anything about show swaps. You don't see anything about options apart from the notional values. So you don't know if they're betting for or against the underlying assets. And normally that side of the trade is bigger than just what they're holding or long on. So Jane Street can actually hold 790 million in IBIT shares, which gets disclosed and which crypto Twitter and the world sees and goes, wow, institutions are buying Bitcoin. But while simultaneously holding 790 million in put options or short futures on Bitcoin, which doesn't need to get disclosed. And it will appear as the entire world is massive on Bitcoin while carrying zero net exposure or even negative exposure. One analyst described it perfectly. A 13F is like a photograph showing only half a body. So this is a little infographic I put together. What you can see, what the public sees is 800 million in IBIT shares, the tip of the iceberg, long stock on ETF values, optional notional values, no detail. But on the other side, what they're actually doing, it could be short positions, put options, strike prices, futures positions, swaps, foreign holdings, cash balances, net actual exposure. It could actually be negative. It can be zero. So Michael Green, a former hedge fund manager, called the bullish interpretation painful, explaining that Jane Street's position is almost certainly offset by undisclosed derivatives. Former trader Ryan Scott was more direct. Anyone posting this as bullish is committing a capital offense. Jane Street is not longing Bitcoin. The firm isn't even investing in Bitcoin. It's using those shares to write options, run arbitrage strategies, and do what quantitative trading firms do: extract profit from volatility. So please be careful, guys. There's a lot of narratives out there. I'm sure this isn't the only place that makes it look like institutions are buying Bitcoin. You don't know what's going on beneath the surface. And look at that infographic, what we see and what's on the other side of the trade. The practical takeaway here is crucial. Every time you see a headline about a big institution buying Bitcoin based off a 13F filing, ask yourself, what am I not seeing? Because if it's a market maker like Jane Street, the answer is almost certainly the other half of the trade. India caught the pattern first with over 105 pages of receipts. 7 months before Terraform lawsuit, India's security regulator SEBI dropped a 105-page order documenting what it called systematic index manipulation by Jane Street, and the level of detail is extraordinary. So this is where we can actually have some evidence, and we don't have to be as careful as what we say, because this is what Indian security regulators were reporting facts. SEBI found that SEBI found that on at least 18 derivative expiry dates between January 2023 and May of 2025, Jane Street ran what was essentially a two-phase playbook. In the morning, its algorithms aggressively bought stocks in the bank Nifty index, sometimes accounting for 15 to 25% of total market volume in individual securities. It placed buy orders above the last traded price, deliberately pushing prices up by 1 to 1.3%. Remember, the market makers are attracted to these market books, and they were placing these limit orders 1 to 1.3% higher. But at the same time, it built bearish options positioned roughly 7.3 times larger than its stock positions. So think about that. They've placed these market orders, limit orders, higher to the actual price to push the price up, and then it's building bearish options. So it's building put options that are actually 7 times larger than that buy position. So they're pushing price up just to smack it back down. So then in the afternoon, it reversed. Aggressive selling. Orders placed at or below last traded price, so they're bringing the price down. The index dropped, and those bearish options position become enormously profitable. So they're playing around with the market, pushing it up, selling it off, placing orders lower, and then that massive short or put option they have is just printing money. On a particularly notable day, January the 17th, 2024, Jane Street accumulated 550 billion in long positions in the morning, then sold over 640 million in the afternoon, netting approximately 88 million in option profits in a single trading session. Guys, this is absolutely wild. So yeah, two-phase playbook, morning pump, afternoon dump. That's what they would do, and that's how much money they were making. Over the full investigation period, SEBI calculated 566 million in unlawful gains from these 18 days alone and ordered the fund frozen. Jane Street deposited the money into escrow within 2 weeks and was allowed to resume trading, though reports indicate the firm has not actually returned to the Indian markets. Jane Street calls SEBI's claims extremely inflammatory and characterizes its activity as standard index arbitrage, a common market-making strategy. The firm appealed, and as of late of February 2026, the case is unresolved with over $500 million sitting in escrow. Again, this is all alleged. This is all what the Indian SEC is saying, SEBI. So let's take everything with a pinch of salt. But, these people have 100-page documents on what they're doing. The structural problem that's bigger than any one firm. Here's what you should be concerned about, even if every allegation against Jane Street turns out to be wrong. Jane Street is authorized participant for virtually every spot Bitcoin ETF in the United States. For BlackRock IBITS alone, the world's largest Bitcoin ETF with over 40 billion in assets, only 4 firms can create and redeem shares. There's only 4 firms authorized to do this. Jane Street, Virtue Americas, JP Morgan, and Morex. That's it. 4 firms control the pipeline between Bitcoin and Wall Street. Only 4, and Jane Street's one of them. And we've never really heard about them. They've kept a low profile. When you buy shares of Bitcoin's ETF, those shares have to come from somewhere. Authorized participants are the ones who create new ETF shares by delivering cash or now actual Bitcoin to the fund. When there's selling pressure, they redeem shares. This mechanics is what keeps ETF price aligned with Bitcoin's actual value. But it also means that these 4 firms see large orders before the broader market does. They know when massive creation or redemption demand is coming in real time. While you're refreshing CoinGecko on your phone, that's not alleged. That's how the system is designed. So they can see when the big market orders are coming. They have access to that information. Again, that's just how it is. And Jane Street is one of the 4 that can do that. Bitwise advisor Jeff Park raised what might be the most unsettling point. All authorized participants enjoy something called Reg Show exemption, which allows them to short ETF shares without borrowing stock, without paying borrow costs, and without hard deadlines to close their positions. As long as it's commercially reasonable, Park argued that this structure vulnerability is more concerning than any individual conspiracy theory. Research from Federa has found that just three liquidity providers control over 70% of the crypto ETF market. Even the ETF prospectus themselves acknowledge risks from front running, spoofing, and market manipulation. So, where does this all go next? As of right now, Jane Street has not been found guilty of anything. The Terraform lawsuit is 3 days old. The Jump trading lawsuit is in early stages. The India appeal is stalled. No US regulator has publicly confirmed an investigation into Jane Street's crypto activities. The firm continues to operate as an authorized participant for every major Bitcoin ETF. But the mosaic is hard to ignore. An Indian regulator documenting a morning pump, afternoon dump strategy with forensic precision. A bankruptcy administrator alleging a 10-minute insider trade that helped collapse a $40 billion ecosystem. A community of traders watching algorithmic sell offs vanish the moment lawyers get involved. And a disclosure system so full of holes that a firm can hold nearly $1 billion in Bitcoin ETF shares while the public has no idea what's on the other side, what the other side of the trade looks like. Whether Jane Street exploited the system or simply operated within its now questioned sitting in courtrooms in Manhattan, Chicago, and Mumbai, the answer won't just determine the fate of one firm. It will shape whether retail investors can trust the price they see on their screen, that their screen reflects actual supply and demand or strategic decisions of a handful of firms operating behind a wall of regulatory blind spots. Because at the end of the day, the most important question isn't whether Jane Street broke the rules, it's whether the rules were ever written to protect you in the first place. And we end with this. No court has found Jane Street guilty of any wrongdoing. All allegations remain unproven, but the structural question remains. The most important question isn't whether they broke the rules, it's whether the rules were ever written to protect you. And on that note, we will be ending today's video. I will be bringing you the charts. Stay tuned on the show. I'll give you a quick glance at Bitcoin. We're looking at 68,000. I'm looking to see the bull market start once we break 74,000 and we put in a higher high towards 90,000. Remember, we can go as high as 75,000, roll over, or as high as 90,000 and roll over again. Again, today's story is mainly about Jane Street. Again, another story that's potentially very bearish for Bitcoin as a whole. And that's why I look at higher utility tokens that will come out stronger. What a story. Check out the newsletter. First link in the description. Free plan, premium plan. I'll leave a 25% discount or a 7-day free trial. You choose. But as always, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Oh, okay, we're going to end the show now. Go over to Martyn. I think his timer must have started by now. Let me check. I've seen him. He's dropped his. Oh, yeah, Martyn will be live in 5 minutes. Brilliant. Okay, so let me just read everyone's questions. Guys, these stories, they're long to write, and they give me goosebumps when I write them. Crazy stories again. I thought the Epstein story was bad. This one is just as bad, I'd say. Let's have a look at a few of your comments. How's everyone reacting to this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys, and then we'll go over to Martyn. Newsletter cartoons look good. Thank you very much, Octopus Shoes. One big dump coming after this pump. Down, I see Nvidia the whole morning. What's your take on Iran-US talks? Who knows? Again, we had Iran-US talks last time. President Trump said we're in diplomacy, we're going to go and talk, and then the next day they bombed Iran. So what do these talks actually mean? We all hope for a diplomatic outcome. I think that's good for everyone. But look, it's hard to know what's actually going on behind the scenes. More monkey business. People trying to get their silver out of Mexico in wheelbarrows. Finn K says, I don't understand. Why is manipulation bad? I mean, the whole market's obviously manipulated. The jump to 120,000 was also manipulation or not. It's easier to manipulate Bitcoin than other markets. All markets are manipulated. Everything is manipulated. We can't just live in a world where we always just go, okay, everything's manipulated. We're not touching it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is be aware of what's actually going on. because it has a fundamental um, risk to your portfolio. Because if everyone just keeps going on, and this is what I'm trying to warn about, everyone keeps going on about, look at these institutions buying Bitcoin. This is great. This is great. Actually, just take a second look, because as I showed you with that iceberg scenario, you're only seeing one side of the story. You don't actually know if they're shorting, putting, manipulating. So you might be buying on false ideologies and false reasoning. And again, manipulation, we can now see what they did in 2021, or potentially did in 2021, 2022, to bring the bear market lower. So again, that just shows us it can happen and bring us into a bear market. That doesn't mean I'm never going to invest in Bitcoin or the crypto market. It just means I'm aware of what's going on. I don't just want to be that retail investor that goes, oh, look, institutions are buying Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ETF's amazing. This is so good. I'm just going to buy and hold, and there's no problems. I'm going to be aware of the facts. I'm going to be aware of the manipulation. I'm going to buy when others are fearful, because that's when I think they're also going to buy. I'm going to be careful about when we're pumping hard. I'm going to understand the landscape we're dealing in. Vocal Foster says, not just Iran talks, also initial jobless claims in about 20 minutes. Yes, what happened with the claims, initial jobless claims? Yeah, it was about consensus, as I thought. Nothing amazing, just slightly below consensus. Nothing crazy there. Rollercoaster time, Michael Saylor next. Google on the move. Hope they're Google on the move. Martin will like that. I hope still wants the upside. I imagine that's what you mean. Google up slightly in the pre-market. Good morning, love the content. Thank you. Oh, Rob Brennan became a lecturer. Congratulations to you, Rob Brennan. Thank you. I'm always here, says Derek. Hit the like button. Come on, people. Looks like the Bears are back on the menu, boys. Wow, that's crazy manipulation, says Kimberly. Good morning, everyone. If that's an investigation, that is if investigation is proven of course. Yes, Kimberly. I think we all know what we think. Gordon says XRP. Google is moving up. Stock market and Bitcoin markets have always been rigged, blessed. Yeah, but some people say, okay, now it's getting less rigged with the ETFs and stuff. It's actually more, in my opinion. Insider conflict of interest. No, the bear market is not over. Broker forced initial jobless claim. Market focused more on Iran. So good. Well, thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Very interesting. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Yolanda. Jonna says, thank you, Sensei, for your knowledge. No worries. Thanks for your comment. Vogel says, hope the bear market's over. Thank you for the information, Sensei. Thank you, DJ Haynes. Songster's Face says, I think the bear market's just getting started. Insiders selling more than 2021, selling 5 times more than buying. Trump did have a prolonged bear market in his first term. Let's keep an eye on it. I think we might get a bounce, get rid of all those shorters, and then a secondary low in May and October. Let's see if that plays out. As always, be prepared for all scenarios. But until next time, stay where you are. You're going to go over to Martyn's show. He's live right now. So take care of yourselves and each other. Great to be back. Thanks for all the support. Keep an eye on the newsletter. If you haven't got it, there is a link in the description for a 7-day free trial. We'll be putting out probably another portfolio challenge, releasing the app, and also the training course coming very soon. So go check it out. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.